Hey, greetings, friends. Jacque Howard here, and thank you for taking a couple minutes of your time to spend it with me to hear me speak, but also to hear from the wonderful human beings that I'm bringing to you. In today's capacity, I'm speaking about Bridge the Vote. Bridge the Vote is a Facebook page, and the intent of this page is to be unbiased, nonpartisan, to share information about the election process and the candidates who are seeking to lead you. Specifically, we are focusing on Trenton, New Jersey, because that's where I live and that's the state capital and that's where I do most of my voting. But this does not mean that we're not interested in hearing about what else is happening in the county, what else is happening in the state of New Jersey, and also on a national level as well. Because democracy starts and finishes with how much we recognize the importance of each individual's rights and each individual's ability to express themselves fair and unimpaired when talking about voting. So I'm bringing on Paula Sollami Covello. Now, I've known Paula and her family for many years, and I say that because her lovely mother was an educator and would teach in the Ewing Public Schools. So I got a chance to meet her mother and talk to her on many occasions. Paula is also an Esquire, but I'll let her introduce herself as we bring her to the line. Paula, how are you today?
Hi, Jock. Good to see you. I'm doing well. Thank you.
Awesome. It's so nice to see you as well. I hope that everyone is doing good on your side. We have so much that's going on politically, of course, at the national and international level. But let's just drill this down a little bit to Mercer County, New Jersey, the capital county, where you are the county clerk. So let's just talk about your job, what that entails, and then I have some other questions about the voting process.
Okay, sounds good.
So let's talk about the actual job itself. You know, what does it mean to have your position, and what are some of the general qualifications?
Okay, as county clerk, I am a countywide elected official. I'm in my fourth term. I've run four times, and the good news is, when I first ran, I actually ran with a very close vote. I beat an incumbent and of the opposite party, and it was a recount, two recounts. And as time went on, I won every town except for two. And then the last time I ran, I won all of the towns. And then the last time I ran, I had no opponents at all. And so that was the best of all. um,
No
it's
competition.
wonderful. No competition. I liked that. But I think that speaks to the fact that, I've tried to work very hard to get to do the job. And what the job entails is we're in charge of expanding vote by mail and running the vote by mail process. We count the votes on election night. I only count the machine votes. The Board of Election counts the paper ballots, which is the provisional ballots and the vote by mail ballots. And then I also am in charge of, we record all the properties in the county. So if you buy or sell any property, it gets recorded in the county clerk's office. And that's probably the biggest part of my job. People think of elections because, it's so visible, but recording those properties is huge. And we maintain a property search library. So you can come in and find out the history on any property in the county. We also do passports, and we also make people notaries. So the county clerk's job responsibilities are broad, and we basically service our county constituents and give people services, which I like about it because I get to see people, and I get to help people. So that's part of it. I am an attorney, and I think it's helped a lot to be an attorney, but you're not required to be an attorney to run for county clerk. I mean, it's countywide elected position, and you don't have to be. I think it's helped a lot because when I have an election issue or a property question, I could just go to the law books and look it up. But it's not required. So I do enjoy it, and I look forward to the next few years. I know we're gonna have some big challenges ahead with the Trenton City election this year on the ballot, and that's going to be. It was moved from May to November. So now the Trenton election is going to be on the ballot this November. And I think it's going to increase turnout. I think that's a good thing because more people vote in November. They are aware that there's an election. It's on the ballot with the Congress this year, which is in Trenton area is Bronnie Watson Coleman and her opponent. So it's going to be a really, exciting year. And then we also have county races, and then we're going to have city races.
Mhm.
So look forward to it.
Great. And I want to drill down a little bit on the Trenton City elections, but I do want to go back and talk about your position and it being an elected position. And you mentioned that you're an attorney. Not that that is a job requirement to have that status or that education, but that you have found it to be very helpful. Can you talk about how you chose to go in that direction with your education? And again, your family is a rather local family, so I'm sure there was some communication about, hey, this is some direction that you can go on, some sort of a linear space to for your career.
I did. Thank you. The reason that I chose to run for this is because, I mean, one of the reasons is because when I ran, it was the only position held by a Republican in the county at that time, and I'm a Democrat, so I didn't want to run against any incumbent, So I said I'm going to try it, but it was a leap of faith because she had been a long-term incumbent, but there were issues that I felt I could do better in with regard to the office. The office, there was a long backlog and a long-term lawsuit here because they weren't keeping up with property recordings, which has a damaging effect on people buying and selling properties. So we weren't keeping up in the office. I said, I have to get in there and I want to do better. My mom was a realtor. My dad was a longtime Mercer County freeholder, but he was also an attorney that did real estate. So I really saw the effects of the backlog at the county clerk's office. And I was, interested in politics. I had been involved with it my whole life, like, through my father, but also, I had been volunteering on campaigns my whole career.
Mm.
And I found it interesting and I really enjoyed it. I worked in the governor's office when I graduated from law school. And then from there, I went to the Department of Education where I worked for 9 years over there, writing legal research opinions for the Commissioner of Education. I thought it was great training for what I do now because I learned government. And when government has some really unusual rules, like how you purchase things, and it's not, and how you budget, and just things of that nature, how you can hire people and civil service rules. So much of that prepared me for this. So I think that was a great training ground. But I enjoyed working with the students, and as you said, my mom was a teacher too, and I had an interest in that. So I also got to work with parents a lot because they would call a department to complain about something that happened to their child, and I was able to work with it. It was a great experience, and then that
Mhm.
brought me to run for this, and haven't looked back. I've
You
enjoyed
know,
it.
I'm glad that you told me that because I didn't know all that history. And something that sticks out is that you said you were learning government and the process of the type of business that government is, and how important that was. For the folks who are thinking, hey, I would kind of want to go into this, what are some of the things that you would say to them in preparation, if they're coming, say, from the private sector, et cetera?
I would say that, I think that working in government prepares you very well. And that goes for everyone, in government, because you really do, there is a process that is different from the private sector. I mean, for example, like if you have an employee that doesn't really work hard, or doesn't want to go to work, government, there are steps you can take to have a person fired, but it's civil service. It's a much different thing when you're dealing with that versus the private sector where, when someone says, I don't want to work anymore, and you can they can fire you instantly. So, you have protections, which is a good thing for most people. For the most part, it's a good thing because you can't show favoritism, but then it has its drawbacks when people don't do their work. But anyway, you learn how to work and navigate that by being in government. You learn how to budget in government. Government has got its own rules. You can't buy what you want to buy. You got to go through a purchasing process. You've got to bid. And in the private sector, they don't have to do that.
Mhm.
They just say, I like your product, I'm going to buy it. That's
Mhm.
not the truth in government. So it really has helped. And
Mhm.
what I would say to somebody looking to do it, I would say, first of all, get involved in politics. You can't run for something like this without being involved in politics because there are certain people you have to know, and you know what I mean, to get the nomination. That's number one. Number two, if you can get a government job and learn and take it all in and learn, that'll help you.
Mhm.
And lastly, I would just say, just be out there, go to community events, be involved. And you should be that way anyway if you're interested in a position like this. You don't want to come into a position like this if you're not a community person. But if you get involved in the community, you're going to meet more people, you're going to meet voters too. So that's one of the other things.
That's awesome to hear that. And so far, this has just been a whole bunch of information. Filling up my sheet here. I'm speaking with Paula Sollami Covello, who is the Mercer County Clerk, and we're talking a bit about elections and some of the processes. We're going to be speaking specifically about vote by mail and what that means and the role of the department for increasing vote by mail. And let's just get into that a little bit right now. I think in the last national election there was a lot of questions and concerns about voting and paper ballots and how that works. Can you just, I'm not trying to get you to answer anything on a national level, just locally, can you, Mercer County, your area of focus and expertise, can you just share about paper ballots and the idea behind them, the functionality of them, how secure they are, and some of those questions that folks may have?
Sure. Well, let me just say that
It's amazing how this sometimes happens, but that is part of technology. Paul is going to be coming back to us. I am sure of that. But in the meantime, I just want to drop in and say, folks, I'm Jacque Howard. You are listening to Trenton 365, which is being broadcasted over WIMG 1300 and WPHY Channel 25, covering Mercer County, New Jersey. The website to get in contact with me is Trenton, like the city, and the numbers 365.com. Trenton365.com. I'm also available on the social media platforms Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter with the handle at Trenton365. Now, the reason I wanted to have a chat with Paula was about the elections that are coming up, in particular in the city of Trenton, New Jersey. The elections have been moved from May until June, which is happening in June, or excuse me, May, move from May to November of 2022, this coming November. All of the seats are up. That's the mayor as well as the city council. And there's a potential for 8 seats for people to be elected. So there are some folks who are publicly out campaigning, have released their information, are talking about their different platforms and the things that they represent. But we still have some time before things are officially announced. I believe it is 64 days before the election. So that would be sometime in, I believe, September. So it's coming up. So it's super important for folks who are going to be voting in the city of Trenton to make sure that, one, that they are registered to vote, that they know where to vote. And if they so choose, they can get a paper ballot. Paula has explained to me in the past that there are boxes where people can drop those paper ballots off in multiple locations. One of them is near the Battle Monument and the Henry J. Alston Center, and also in front of Trenton Central High School on Chambers Street and City Hall. So there are 3 locations that I know of where folks can drop off their paper ballots and then be a part of the process of voting for the people who are going to lead them and supporting democracy. All of this information, the videos, etc., interviews with campaign managers, interviews with candidates, is going to be broadcast and shared via the Facebook page and website, Bridge the Vote. Bridge the Vote, that page was designed by Will Foskey and myself. Will Foskey is a filmmaker and the president of New Pod City, which is a podcasting company. And we came together to support the idea of encouraging people to be a part of the voting process and knowing who they are, the folks who want to run for them. Early on, we found out that there was a lot of discrepancies. There was a lot of misinformation, unknown information about the process, about who the candidates are, etc. And then some deeper dives led us to ask some other questions, like what is the process for verifying petitions? Do we have enough time to verify these petitions? Is the office of the clerk at the city of Trenton able to verify the potential thousands of addresses that need to be checked and to be verified? And then also providing general information to the public so that they know what the positions of mayor and council, what that entails. Oftentimes, there's a misunderstanding as to what our elected leaders and elected officials are supposed to be doing. And we want to provide the space so that folks will know, hey, council in the city of Trenton, one of their main functions is the budget and making sure that the budget process, having a relationship with the directors of each department so they can know the functionality of the budgets. And the mayor is the one that enters into contracts, and they work cohesively to bring about the betterment of the city for all of us. Of course, quality of life issues are a concern, but is that really what our focus is for our elected officials? Or is the quality of life something that should be held by the departments, and that those departments and then are held accountable by our elected officials, our city council, etc.? Bit long-winded, but that's just where we currently are. And I have no skin in the game. I take my media perspective very seriously. I don't support any candidates. I don't publicly do anything for them. It's everything that I do, we do with Bridge the Vote is open to whomever who wants to share about what they have going on. The main intent is to get the information out to the community. So I have no skin in the game as far as who I want to win. I just want the best person to win. I also say that I know most of the folks who were currently elected and consider myself friends and cordial with them. I can call them, we can chat, we can get together, etc. But we have to work together as a unit, as a body, to move our city forward. And I think that we have a willing and capable folks to do that. We have a diverse population, diverse not only in culture but also in skill set, and of course, location, location, location. So there's Trenton between Philly and New York, the mountains, the shore, right along the river. It behooves us to take advantage of this and consider what we can do to help this river city, the capital of New Jersey, be everything it can be. So some of the plans for going forward, there are some candidates who have contacted myself, and we'll be sitting down with them. And we'll be recording them and sharing that information not only through WIMG, but also, again, through the Bridge the Vote Facebook page to encourage folks to learn and find out who they are. If there are folks that you think I should speak with, if there are folks who would like to speak with us, please just have them go over to the website, Trenton365.com, and reach out to me there. You can also direct message me or message me via Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well. The handle is, again, at Trenton365. So in closing up, I do want to send some encouragement to you and yours who are out there. The processes of being a human can sometimes be very difficult and strenuous, but be encouraged. Know that you are not alone. Know that there are folks who want to help, support, engage, and edify you in what you are doing. Take the steps to reach out and ask questions. I don't have access to everything, but I do have some access, and I have a wonderful network of organizations, individuals, and companies that want to be a part of solutions. And you can see a list of them on the website, again, Trenton365.com. In closing, folks, I am Jacque Howard, and you've been listening and watching Trenton 365 over the 5-time Stellar Gospel Music Awards winning station WIMG 1300. In closing, remember, it's always about justice, peace, and humility.